With phone series, you generally have the regular or Pro versions launch first, followed by special editions like gaming and whatnot. But with the Redmi K50 series, the K50 Gaming was the one that launched first, and we've already taken a look at that. Now the regular K50 and the K50 Pro are out, and the reason for them being released later is the chip inside. Well, the K50 Gaming came with Qualcomm's top SoC, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. The K50 and the K50 Pro have Mediatek Silicon. The K50 Pro in particular uses the very promising 4nm Dimensity 9000. This is supposed to finally give Mediatek a chip that can go toe-to-toe with the best Qualcomm has to offer. Add to that, the K50 Pro is also one of the least expensive flagship phones around. What exactly has happened here? Does Mediatek deliver on that performance promise? Has Redmi cut one corner too many to hit this aggressive price point? Let's find out in today's video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4eTech, and if you do end up liking what you see here, thumbs up, subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon. Let's get started. This box is typical Redmi K series, Redmi monster to the back, 120-watt charging highlighted to the side, and oh yeah, we have a 2K display here. First time on a Redmi phone. Now this is gonna be interesting to see. Opening it up, we are greeted by a white cardboard insert. This insert, it houses a SIM ejector tool, your regular quick start guide, and finally a soft TPU case. Next up, we have the Redmi K50 Pro itself. This is the silver variant. There is also a green, blue, and black, which Google translates to ink feather. It kind of looks unique with some crystalline pattern underneath, which is in line with the crystalline wallpapers on MIUI. I actually wish I bought that version. Should have looked it up before ordering. Anyways, back to the unboxing. Let's turn the K50 Pro on, and as it boots up, let me peel the screen protector off to give you guys a better look at that 2K screen. Next up, we have a USB Type-A to Type-C cable with orange accents. And finally, there's that 120-watt charger. This should be able to get you to full charge in just 19 minutes, which is a huge improvement over last year's 52 minutes. Now talking about last year, you know how gaming phones, they generally have a higher capacity battery? The K40 Pro, for example, had a 4520 mAh battery, while the K40 Gaming had 5065. But this time around, the tables are flipped. The K50 Gaming, as we saw, it had a 4700 mAh battery, but this one, the K50 Pro here, it has 5000 mAh. Maybe Redmi expected battery drain to be more given Mediatek's track record, but initial reports have been indicating otherwise. If anything, the Dimensity 9000 seems to be a tad more efficient compared to the 8 Gen 1. Now, the Dimensity 9000, it's got a lot of similarities to the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. It also happens to be built on the same 4nm process. It's got the same core split up, 1 high-powered Cortex-X2, 3 high-performance Cortex-A710s, and 4 power-efficient Cortex-A510s. The clock speeds on the 510s are the same, but with the other 4 cores, Mediatek's actually clocked higher. So theoretically, we should see better CPU performance. That said, initial benchmarks indicate the Mali G710 MC10 GPU here, it performs a little lower than Qualcomm's Adreno 730. All this is just theory. Practically, the K50 Pro was pretty impressive with the few games we tried, and I should have more to say in a probable full review. Anyways, the Dimensity 9000 is paired with 8 or 12 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM and 128, 256 or 512 gigs of blazing fast UFS 3.1 storage, part of which can be used as virtual RAM via software. One thing worth noting is that though the Dimensity 9000 can technically support faster LPDDR5X, Redmi's only use the regular LPDDR5 RAM, but that's not a knock on Redmi because that's pretty much what you find on every other flagship today. Now moving on, we have MIUI 13 running the show here. It's built atop Android 12 and felt friendly to use for the most part. As with other MIUI phones we've seen in the past, Google Play services are available even with the Chinese software. The user experience here felt flagship in every way possible. I mean, I didn't feel any different from using a MIUI 13 phone sporting a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Everything felt fluid. All your favorite MIUI features like the insanely rich, always on and other customization options are present and accounted for. The interface felt very responsive, and of course, the 120Hz refresh is also a reason why. While the refresh rate is the same as what you'd find on most flagships today, this one doesn't use LTPO technology, so no jumping between 1 and 120Hz. You can choose 60 or 120 and that's pretty much it. It's not a huge issue, but just a point worth noting. The display, it's still pretty amazing. This here is an AMOLED panel, Quad HD+, hence that big 2K on the box. It's the first time Redmi's used a 2K panel, and that again shows the trust they have in the Dimensity 9000's performance. Now the display, it's super sharp, the colors are excellent with Dolby Vision support. This is a flat 6.67-inch panel and it's covered by Corning's Gorilla Glass Victus. It gets quite bright. A 1200 nit peak brightness is pretty close to what you'd get with top-of-the-line flagships. There's also 480Hz touch sampling to get a super responsive gaming experience. Game Turbo also makes a return and lets you tinker around with the settings while you're in game. I also didn't notice any heating issues as such. The K50 Pro did not run warm despite the higher clock speeds in comparison to the 8 Gen 1. Redmi has a large vapor chamber here with liquid cooling to keep the temps in check. So the K50 Pro should technically be able to sustain peak performance. Well, this is something, again, I'm going to have to test more and have more to say in the full review. The K50 Pro does feel nice in hand. Despite the increased battery capacity, Redmi still kept the overall footprint quite the same. In fact, the K50 Pro is lighter than the gaming edition by about 10 grams. It's still not a light phone by any means. You're going to use it with two hands more often than not, but when you are using it, when you are holding it, it's going to feel really good thanks to that Gorilla Glass to both the front and back. That said, the sides, unlike on the K50 Gaming, they are plastic here, so that is a compromise. Now, the K50 Gaming, on that phone, remember the speaker setup, it was quad speakers with JBL branding. Yet another compromise with this one, we lose the JBL branding, but we still do get two speakers. The stereo output, it sounds almost as good. The placements also remain pretty similar. The primary mic and speaker, Type-C port and the SIM tray are at the bottom. No headphone jack or microSD support. We get a clean left. The secondary mic and speaker are located up top alongside the IR blaster. The power and volume keys are present to the right. Here's yet another compromise. Despite AMOLED, the fingerprint scanner is not under the display but rather embedded in the power key. That said, it was fast and responsive. Two-dimensional face unlock via the selfie camera is also present and worked great. In this hole punch up top, we have a 20 megapixel sensor, the same one from the K50 Gaming, a Sony IMX596 paired with a f2.2 lens, and it seemed to do a good job. Selfies appear to be sharp with natural skin tones. To the back, we have a triple camera setup, and before we start looking at the pictures, let's look at the camera array. If you ask me, it looks a little weird. We've seen different shapes of camera arrays in the past. Sure, you have your circles, pills, rectangles and whatnot, but this is probably the first time you see every shape in one camera array. A triangular placement of cameras in a circle, in a square, in a rectangle with a pill-shaped dual flash. And by the way, as mentioned here, we have OIS, again a Redmi first. The primary here is the Samsung HM2, a 108 megapixel sensor with Nona binning, meaning the images get binned down to 12 megapixels effectively. The sensor size is much larger than what we saw on the K50 Gaming. Images look pleasant, they're well detailed, colors are on point. The secondary is a 8 megapixel ultra wide, which is nothing special. It should get the job done, give you the extra field of view. And then the third camera is a 2 megapixel macro. It is, well, it's there. There's nothing else for me to say. Here's probably the first time I actually thought the Dimensity 9000 might be a handicap for this phone. Now, thanks to Qualcomm, we almost assume that video tops out at 8K for phones with flagship chips these days. The K50 Pro doesn't do 8K. That, in my humble opinion, is okay. I personally almost never shoot 8K because if you've been watching my videos, you know my fondness for shooting 60 FPS. But the K50 Pro doesn't do 4K 60 either, topping out at 4K 30. Now when I dug deeper, I realized this is not a Mediatek issue after all, at least not in the way I thought. The Dimensity 9000 it's technically capable of 8K 24 FPS shooting. Redmi's just not included it. Maybe it's optimizing performance for a new chip, that's the holdup. It would be great if Redmi adds this in the future, at least 4K 60, but the big question is, will they? Only time will tell, I guess. Now the 4K 30 footage came out quite nicely with OIS helping stabilize everything. Stabilization should be even more useful under low light, though I didn't get a chance to test that. So in the Redmi K50 Pro, Redmi's put together quite a nice overall package. Are there corners cut? Hell yes. No 4K 60, average secondary cameras, plastic frame, the lack of LTPO or even an in-display fingerprint scanner. But then again, the pricing, they've absolutely nailed this. This phone starts at 29.99 RMB in China, making this the best value for money offering if price to performance is what you seek. There is no Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 at this price point. Well, okay, when you think about it, that is the Edge X30, but everything else is more expensive, and if the Dimensity 9000 can perform just as well, then that performance, the 2K panel, the super fast charging, the good primary camera setup with optical stabilization, I mean, the K50 Pro should be a great deal. So what do you think about this phone? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because at this point we're at the end of today's quick little unboxing and hands-on. I will have a lot more to say in my full review. If you want to watch that, again, let me know in the comments. For now, thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about the video. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4 Retech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.